That is the first emperor's tomb. And it's at the center of what is thought to be the largest burial complex in the world.
For over 2,000 years, the tomb of China's first king has been locked, not touched or disturbed, and kept in silence.
200 years before the first emperor's tomb, we have a whole new concept, and that concept is this, that you don't just have a tomb, you have a palace.
But now, that silence has been broken. Scientists have brought to the open a DNA result buried deep inside the soil, buried under years of stone, fear, and stories. What they found isn't just shocking, it's scary.
So the analysis that you're describing is basically the facial features around the brow ridge and the nose are non-typical Asian features.
DNA proof has opened up a truth so shocking and disturbing that it might shake the pillar of Chinese history itself. Are we ready to face the real emperor? Join us in this video as we reveal the newly found details. The DNA secrets of China's first emperor finally revealed. Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, has become the subject of an unexpected new discovery. A discovery revealed by scientists analyzing DNA discovered next to his grave has the potential to alter public perceptions of Chinese history. Experts have been examining remains buried next to his actual tomb, which is still sealed and has never been opened. These consist of mud, teeth, and bones from the vast region surrounding the well-known Terracotta Army. Many historians were astonished by what they discovered. The ancient DNA from these remains was examined by the scientists using contemporary instruments. An individual's genes are carried via their DNA, which also provides information about their ancestry. The experts discovered something surprising when they examined this DNA. The genetic code did not support the emperor's background as most people thought. The DNA revealed evidence of mixed origin rather than being exclusively Han Chinese, the largest ethnic group in China. It appeared that Qin Shi Huang might have come from a variety of ethnic backgrounds, such as Central Asians or nomadic tribes. This is unexpected, as it was long thought that the first Chinese emperor was descended from a single pure lineage. As the man who brought many countries together to create a single China, he was viewed as a potent symbol of unification. Even while his blood may have represented such unification, it now seems that he may have been a blend of different peoples before he ever united the region through conflict and strength. Historians are now re-examining Qin Shi Huang's story as a result. If these findings are correct, the way that people view China's early emperors may change. It might suggest that ancient Chinese leaders were more varied than previously thought. This would imply that Chinese history has always been more intricate. Some claim that the way history is taught in schools may change as a result of these recent DNA discoveries. History books and people's perceptions of the early years of Chinese rule may shift as a result. It also shows that what has been written in history for hundreds of years may not always be the full truth. The shocking part is not just what the DNA says, it's how different it is from what people have believed for so long. The idea that the first emperor may have come from a mixed background challenges a big part of the story people were told about who he was and where he came from. Experts believe this is just the start. New technology for studying ancient DNA is getting better all the time. Scientists hope that someday the Chinese government may allow them to open the emperor's tomb itself. If that happens, they could test his actual remains and learn even more about his true background. That kind of discovery could change everything we know about one of the most famous rulers in history. If the first emperor's DNA could hide such a shocking truth, what more could we discover by looking deeper into his forgotten genetic code? Let's take a closer look. Unlocking the genetic code of a forgotten emperor. Some scientists today believe that one of the most exciting discoveries from China's first emperor might not be the statues or treasures buried with him, but something much smaller: his DNA. DNA, which is like a tiny instruction book found in every living thing, could help us understand many hidden things about this powerful man who lived over 2,000 years ago. Even though his burial tomb has never been opened, scientists are already dreaming about what could be learned if they were ever able to study his DNA one day. It is thought that the emperor's remains are imprisoned in a unique subterranean chamber located well inside the tomb. No one in contemporary times has ever entered this chamber. It has been hidden and unopened for many years. According to experts, the room's ingenious design and sturdy construction may have contributed to the emperor's remains being preserved for generations. Some scientists think that his body might still be in good enough shape to contain usable DNA because of this. We can learn a lot from DNA. Scientists might discover a lot of personal information about the emperor if it were ever gathered from his bones, hair, or other remains. They could learn about the types of illnesses he might have had, for instance. They may discover his height, eye color, and even his ancestry. This would provide people now a better understanding of his character, as well as what life was like for a person in his position of authority and time. The issue is that Chinese officials take great care to preserve the tomb, which has never been opened. They don't want to make a hasty decision that would ruin the location or upend history. Therefore, without completely opening the chamber, scientists have been considering alternative approaches to potentially examine the emperor's DNA. Some specialists have begun developing new instruments, tiny intelligent devices, or robotic arms that could eventually be able to reach through microscopic crevices in the tomb. These machines could be very gentle, made to collect the smallest samples without disturbing the space too much. Imagine a small, flexible device being slipped through a tiny opening in the tomb wall. It might be designed to pick up a bit of dust, a piece of bone, or even just some ancient air. Scientists would then take this sample to a lab and study it very closely. If DNA is present in any of the samples, they could carefully break it down and read the tiny genetic code left behind by the emperor. It would be like hearing his voice from the past, through science instead of words. Of course, this is still just an idea. Nothing has been done yet. The tomb remains sealed and untouched, and for now, the emperor still rests in silence beneath the earth. But the possibility of unlocking his DNA keeps many scientists excited. They believe that one day, with the right tools and permission, this dream might come true. And if it does, the world might finally learn answers to some very old and important questions. Was the first emperor, for instance, as robust and healthy as legend claims? Did he have any unspoken illnesses or vulnerabilities? What was his origin? And who were his forefathers? Only time will tell if we ever come near enough to ask questions like these, which only DNA can answer. The emperor's DNA is still one of the tomb's greatest mysteries as of right now. Like an unheard whisper from the past, it waits here, buried away. Scientists are watching, waiting, and hoping. Because even though the first emperor has been gone for more than 2,000 years, his story isn't finished just yet. There may still be one final chapter, written not in stone, but in code, inside his very own blood. Now that science has begun to unlock the secrets written in his very blood, what long-lost truths still lie buried deep within the hidden tomb of China's first emperor? Let's delve deeper. The hidden tomb of China's first emperor. Far below the ground, in the land we now call Shanxi Province in China, there is something truly special. It is not just any old burial place. No, this is something much bigger, much deeper, much older. It is the final resting place of a man named Qin Shi Huang, the very first emperor of a united China. And the place where he was buried is not like anything else in the world. It is large. It is mysterious. And even after all these years, much of it remains hidden, untouched, and sealed. When Emperor Qin was only 13 years old, he became the ruler of the Qin state. And even though he was still very young, he already had very big dreams. He didn't just want to be a king. He wanted to rule over all of China. And after many years of wars and battles, he did just that. He brought the many different states of China together and made them into one powerful empire. People still remember him because he made big changes. He made sure everyone used the same kind of money. He made sure people used the same way to measure things. He even made the writing the same across the land. He also started building strong roads and canals, and even began the early parts of the Great Wall of China. His rule changed everything. But Emperor Qin didn't just care about life. He cared a lot about what would happen after he died. He didn't want his rule to end, not even after death. So, from the moment he became king, he began building his tomb. That means he started building it when he was still just a teenager. And he kept working on it for many, many years. The place he built was not small. In fact, it is huge. People say it covers almost 38 square miles. That is almost the size of a big modern city like San Francisco. This was not just a simple grave. This was like a city underground. A kingdom made of earth, stone, and mystery. Inside this underground kingdom, they built thousands of clay soldiers. These were life-sized warriors, each one a little different. Some had mustaches, some had calm faces, others looked ready to fight. They stood in lines like real armies. They were made to protect the emperor in the afterlife. Along with these soldiers, there were also clay horses, bronze chariots, musicians, acrobats, and even dancers. Everything the emperor had in life was made again to keep him company in death. There were over 180 smaller tombs and rooms found in the area. In some places, they even found signs of real animals being sacrificed. That means the people who built the tomb believed the emperor would still need entertainment, protection, and service even after he died. But the most important part of the whole site, the very center of the emperor's resting place, is still closed. A long time ago, a man named Sima Qian wrote about what might be inside. He said there are rivers of mercury flowing through the tomb. He said the ceiling is covered with stars and constellations. He said there are hidden traps like crossbows that could shoot at anyone who tried to enter. These stories sound like something from a legend, but modern science shows they may be true. When scientists tested the soil around the mound, they found very high levels of mercury, much higher than normal. This could mean that mercury really was used inside. That would be dangerous for anyone who tries to go in. Tools like radar and special scanners have also found strange empty spaces under the ground that match the shapes of rooms and tunnels. Some of these spaces look like they could be filled with liquid or metal. It's all very strange and very exciting, but still unknown. If modern science can uncover the secrets hidden in his DNA, what deeper mysteries still lie untouched within the tomb itself? Let's find out more. The Emperor's silent dream and the secrets that wait. When they first found the clay soldiers back in the 70s, they saw how quickly the colors faded. The beautiful paint on their clothes and faces disappeared in just minutes after being uncovered. If the same thing happens to the things inside the main chamber, things like wood, silk, or paper, they could be ruined forever. The air, the light, and the moisture could destroy them. And then there is the mercury. The high levels of mercury around the tomb could be very dangerous, not just for people, but for the ancient items as well. Once the tomb is opened and the air gets in, the mercury might cause chemical reactions that could harm the very objects they are trying to protect. There is also a matter of respect. The emperor's tomb was meant to stay undisturbed for all time. That was the belief back then. To open it without great care would feel like a violation. It would be like disturbing someone's sleep after they've been lying in peace for thousands of years. Many people, including Chinese officials and World Heritage groups, agree that it is better to wait until science is advanced enough to protect everything inside. For now, it is safer to leave it closed and study the area in other ways. Even so, the mystery continues. Every new discovery around the tomb gives us more clues. They discovered a unique location with clay entertainers in 2012. These were acrobats, dancers, and musicians who were all stopped in the middle of their act. Then, in 2013, they discovered an old workshop that was used to create the clay troops. They discovered ceramic fragments, broken molds, and tools. Some even featured stamps that identified the workshop from whence they originated. This indicates that more than a few artists created the tomb. It was carried out with meticulous organization, like a factory. Then, in 2016, researchers discovered odd plants growing close to the tomb. These were not native flora. The emperor's gardeners apparently placed unique flowers and trees to create a sense of balance and wonder in the area. And in 2019, they discovered an old drainage system under the burial mound. It was built to keep water away from the tomb. And it worked. The tomb has stayed safe from floods for over 2,000 years. All of this shows that the tomb was not built carelessly. It was planned in great detail. Each part served a role. The emperor's wish to live forever, even in death, was put into each piece. A lot of powerful leaders had the same feelings, as can be seen when we check graves from around the world. Pharaohs in Egypt, for example, were buried in locations such as the Valley of the Kings. They were surrounded by gold, art, and items for the afterlife. In Mesoamerica, the Maya and Aztecs buried their leaders in pyramid-shaped temples filled with offerings and symbols of the heavens. In Europe, the Vikings and the Scythians buried their warriors with ships, weapons, and even horses. These graves all tell stories of power, belief, and the dream of life after death. But even with all these amazing tombs, none of them are quite like the one built by Qin Shi Huang. His tomb is bigger. It is more complex. It took thousands of workers to build it over many years. It has more secrets, more unknowns. It is not just a grave. It is a message from the past, a monument to one man's will to live forever, to be remembered not just in life, but in eternity. And today, that tomb is still there, still sealed, still waiting. We have machines that let us look inside from above. We have instruments and sensors that can locate items and chambers. However, the actual secrets, the truth about what's inside the tomb, remain hidden. Emperor Qin Shi Huang's dream endures for the time being. DNA does not include it, not in his bones. However, amid the enigma surrounding his last resting place, a mystery that may stay hidden for many years to come. If the tomb holds the truth about the emperor's past, could the real scandal have started long before his burial, inside the palace walls where power, lies, and secrets ruled? Let's learn more. Scandals and power games in the emperor's court. Many years ago, during the time of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, there were deep questions about whether he truly had the right to be on the throne. Even though he became a powerful ruler and united all of China, the truth about his birth and rise to power was not as simple as it seemed. There were quiet talks, whispers in the palace halls, and records that pointed to hidden stories behind his rule. Some historians believe that the emperor might not have been the rightful son of King Chuangsheng, the man officially listed as his father. Rather, there were reports that the emperor's birth may have been more significantly influenced by a strong man named Lu Bue, who was formerly a trader and ascended to high position. Many in the palace questioned whether Lu Bue's child was indeed the king's child because she was close to the emperor's mother. Because of this, there were many secrets and potential lies in the emperor's birth narrative. Betrayal and power struggles were commonplace inside the palace. Ministers and rival families were always vying for power or bringing others down. To gain more authority, people married, told lies, and even died. In the middle of all this, the emperor grew up. He became cunning, suspicious, and harsh. He became a strong leader who trusted few people as a result of these palace issues. Historians are still working to put together what actually happened inside those palace walls. The truth about who the emperor really was and how he kept his throne may still be hidden in records, bones, or even the sealed tomb that has never been opened. What do you think about the secret of China's first emperor? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for watching this video. We hope you found it interesting. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the next video shown on your screen to catch up on your favorite celebrity stories. See you there.